Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Welcome once again to our Shabbat virtual gathering. We're happy that you joined us after being off for Labor Day. We will also be off next week because it is Rosh Hashanah, and the following week, since it's just a day before Yom Kippur, and that's our custom anyway, as humanistic Jews here in BT. Please note that the high holidays are going to be available worldwide, no password, just like this service. So you'll be able to access it on YouTube. It will premiere, it's all pre-recorded, it will premiere at 6 o'clock next week, 1 week from tonight. It's about an hour long, give or take. There's a few segments we're still recording. And the same will happen on Sunday night following, 9 days, 10 days later, when we broadcast the Yom Kippur gathering that we've gotten. It's all virtual. We've got wonderful participation from members from across our community. We have music videos that we've prepared for you and all kinds of other special things, and I hope that you'll find it meaningful. We're going to begin now with Hine Matov.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, יאללה לי לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, יאללה לי לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, יאללה לה 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 לה. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
Tonight we'll be speaking to a representative of HIAS, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, about the Welcome Campaign 2020 they're conducting. In honor of that, a reading before we light candles. The Torah has two sets of the 10 commandments that speak about Shabbat. One says Shamor, observe Shabbat. The other says Zachor, remember Shabbat. We welcome Shabbat with 2 candles, one to observe Shabbat and one to remember it. Zachor, remember. The legend of the Exodus describes how the Israelites fled their oppressors in Egypt. Not long after, so the story goes, they were given the gift of Shabbat rest. Today we remember Shabbat by linking ourselves to those who came before us, a people who time and time again were forced to leave home in order to live openly and freely as Jews. As we remember our own ancestors' journeys, we think of the millions of refugees and asylum seekers around the world today, still fleeing violence and persecution because of who they are. Shamor, we observe. We observe and celebrate Shabbat in our homes, in our communities, in all the places that give us refuge. We hope that the lights we kindle will illuminate a path to a world made whole once more, a world in which our rest on this day will inspire us to take action on all the days that follow. We observe, we remember, and now, inspired by our experiences, let us act. Together we will speak out against those who seek to close doors to refugees and asylum seekers. We will welcome newcomers to our communities, helping them to settle into new lives with ease. We will ground ourselves in our shared values, living them each and every day as we fight for justice for all. The flickering of these lights will remind us of the light that is within each of us equally deserving of dignity and respect, no matter who we are, what we look like, what we believe, or where we call home. Shamor v'zachor, observe and remember. May the transformative power of the Jewish experience embolden us in our pursuit of justice so that we may transform our world. I'll ask Arthur to please light our Shabbat candles as we say our blessing. Baruch haor ba'olam, Baruch haor ba'adam, Baruch haor b'shalom, b'shalom, Baruch haor, Baruch haor, b'Shabbat. I ask you to join me as we raise our cup of cheer. L'chaim, everybody, to life. As we enter this Shabbat, we are frightened, worried for our loved ones, worried for our nation, worried for our world. Anxious and troubled, we must turn toward one another, seeking comfort and hope and strength. May we learn to turn our panic into patience, our fears into acts of kindness and support, our outrage into change. May those who are strong raise up those who are weak. May those who are young show compassion to those who are older. And may those who are fortunate sacrifice for those who are not. May those on the front lines of the struggle for human rights know strength and courage. May those on the front lines for the battle for our health know wisdom and insight. And may we all see that we are one world, one people, rising above all of this together. Let's continue with Afo Ori. Our guest tonight is Trevor Dwaritz, the Grassroots Campaign Fellow for HIAS, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. He works with Jewish communities across the U.S. to stand up for refugees and asylum seekers. Trevor is based in Atlanta, but he's a graduate of the University of Michigan, where he had experience working on social justice issues here in the Southeast Michigan area. I know where I live. Like so many of us, Trevor was brought close to this work by the Jewish experience that we just spoke about, of how our ancestors were once refugees seeking safety and freedom, from oppression and despair. Please welcome now Trevor Dwaritz. Trevor, Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for joining us tonight on our Shabbat get-together. Our congregation, as I discussed with you before we went into the record mode, we have a lot of history with HIAS, and a lot of us have a lot of history going back all the way to the 19th century, when HIAS was the means of bringing our families over, or at least welcoming them when they arrived here. Just for those who don't remember, in our congregation, it stands for Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, though like a lot of acronyms, the HIAS sticks. What is HIAS doing now? What are you up to now?
Hey, and thank you so much for talking today. I know some about how Birmingham Temple has provided so much support for refugees, asylum seekers, and immigrants, especially in the past couple of years. And I just wanted to say thank you. It's so incredible to see that happening in Michigan, especially as a former Michigan grad. So thank you, Rabbi, for that support. And I'll share a little bit more about what HIAS is up to now. But as you said, we started back in 1881, and primarily then we were focused on working with Jewish communities that were fleeing Eastern Europe and Russia. I know this is true for my family. I actually learned this past Labor Day weekend that my great-grandparents weren't allowed in their town in Belarus, and they came to the US and then received support and help from their community. And HIAS has done this work since 1881, but in the early 2000s, our work really changed. And now we focus not just on Jewish refugees, we focus on refugees regardless of their religion, regardless of their nationality, their ethnicity, regardless of their sexual identity. And we support refugees and asylum seekers in our country offices around the world. So places where you see HIAS offices around the world would be Aruba, where refugees from Venezuela are fleeing due to the economic crisis there. Lesbos, Greece, where you see refugees from Syria and from Afghanistan and from Somalia. So much of our work is focused internationally, providing direct services for refugees and for asylum seekers around the world. However, the other big piece, and really what I'd like to discuss more today, is the kind of second tenet of our work, which is all about advocacy, advocating for refugees and asylum seekers. The past 4 years, the past number of years, we've seen, we're in this time, we're in this moment where refugees and asylum seekers are at great number, in fact, the highest in recorded history. And what I see, HIAS's biggest value, my personal biggest value as a Jewish person, is all about welcoming the stranger. And the administration the past 4 years and the way our country has treated refugees and asylum seekers, instead of welcoming and treating folks with compassion and bringing people into our country, it has actually closed the doors. And with the upcoming election coming up, we have an opportunity to potentially change that through strategic advocacy. And I'd like to discuss a little bit more about, the crisis and what we can do, from our homes in our own isolation during this COVID time to support refugees and asylum seekers right now.
So tell us about the current state and and maybe a little bit about the campaign, the Vote for Welcome 2020 that you're conducting.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said before, currently, and I'll probably say this again and again and again, is we're in the middle of the largest refugee crisis in recorded history. So the UN believes there's 80 million individuals who are currently displaced. 26 million are actually considered refugees. That makes, I think, 1% of entire world's humanity that are currently displaced. So that means that there's this huge issue. It's in my opinion, it's the biggest humanitarian issue of our current time. And like I said before, despite us being in the middle of this moment, in this middle of this emergency, which is layered with a pandemic, with COVID, that creates an even greater problem for refugees and people seeking safety, the US has actually, over the past couple of years, become less welcoming to refugees and asylum seekers. And what I mean is that back through the 40-year history of us having this program that allows refugees to come to the US and resettle here, the average has been allowing 95,000 people to come here to the US through the Refugee Resettlement Program. Now that number is at 18,000 and is actually at risk of even being lower. At the US border, asylum policies, at the southern border, asylum policies have kept people who have a legal right to seek asylum in the US and have put them in shelters around the border of Mexico, which hasn't proven to be a safe place for people that are desperately seeking refugee and definitely seeking asylum. So our work is centered around that, and kind of in this kind of global, historic, terrible moment that so many refugees across the world are facing. We have this election coming up, and we have an opportunity, especially as kind of rooted in our Jewish values, to stand up and ask our elected officials to make a public statement about refugees and asylum seekers. We're looking to hear from candidates about what they can do and what they pledge and commit to do to be more supportive and more welcoming towards refugees and asylum seekers over the coming months.
What can our congregants do as part of this Vote for Welcome 2020 campaign? What are you asking of people who are supportive of HIAS's aims?
Yeah, so thank you so much for asking that, Rabbi. So first off, we're not seeing, like, kind of looking at the campaign and looking at candidates. I would encourage those of you that are part of the Birmingham Temple and watching this to go and research your candidates. See if they have said anything about refugees and about asylum seekers so far on the campaign trail. My guess, and what we've been seeing and what we've been hearing, is this issue, despite being this huge, the numbers being like, just crazy, we're not hearing anything on the campaign trail from our elected officials and from our candidates. So the strategy and the idea behind this campaign is about changing that, is about creating some type of public commitment from our elected officials in order to ensure that come January, when we have a new Congress, that our elected officials are, one, educated on what's going on, what the crisis, two, how the US can respond to the crisis, and three, are ready to act really quickly, because we are in the middle of a crisis, and we want this to happen on day one. That's why what the Vote for Welcome campaign is all about, is asking and really demanding and making a clear statement, and letting our candidates know that we as Jews care about these issues. We stand with refugees. We hear what's going on, and we demand our candidates to work and to act on this. So that's what the Vote for Welcome campaign is all about. We have a website. It's hias.org/voteforwelcome. And this website has tactics. It has information. If you don't know what's going on, there's like ways you can catch up, sign up for the campaign. And there are a number of different tactics that we're actually asking folks to take on.
We will post that, it'll be at the bottom of the crawl in this video, but we'll also post that on the YouTube page. So if people are looking for a direct link, is there anything else that you'd want to ask of folks? Should they be lobbying their congregations to do what we did, become a sanctuary, or to adopt families, or any of that kind of thing? Is that still something that's on the front boiler of the of HIAS?
Always. So one thing that's really important right now is the presidential determination is currently kind of in the process of being set. So the presidential determination is essentially the ceiling amount of refugees that are allowed to come in via the refugee resettlement process. So Rabbi, I can share with you kind of a letter petition that is going out about this, and signing this, spreading the word on social media, talking to other people, getting other people involved. It's really important to make a really a loud and clear and like resonant statement that we as a people support refugees and asylum seekers. And through our Jewish values of welcoming the stranger, we want our country to reflect that same value too. So that's one thing that is really important. Another thing that's currently going on right now is in an ICE detention center, there are Muslims that are being forced to eat pork right now. which of course goes against some of their religious values. So standing up and taking a stand against that is extremely, extremely important. So we wanted to share that with you all, as that's I don't know, that's something that just kind of personally really hurts me and bothers me that we do that in this country. And we have an opportunity here, in the election to kind of make some noise and to share this issue as well.
We speak about religious liberty and so forth, and while my congregation, that's not an important mitzvah inside of our Jewish observance, it's extraordinarily important to millions and hundreds of millions of people on this planet that they have the opportunity to observe the basic tenets of their faith. So that's interesting. I had heard about that. I didn't realize it was still in effect. It doesn't surprise me. It goes along with all the child separations and the family separations and all that kind of thing that's been going on. We are so incredibly proud to be partnered with HIAS on all of your work. And I really want to thank you for your time with us today, and urge those who are members of our congregations to sign these petitions and to hold candidates to what was originally and used to be, and I hope will be again, a bipartisan principle of welcoming people to these shores. This is how we all got here. If you're not descended from a Native American and you're not descended from an African American who was brought here in chains, your family undoubtedly arrived here by choice. And this country has been more and less welcoming throughout its history. So we would like to turn this into a more welcoming. Just as a side note, I wrote a little bit about how the Jim Crow laws inspired the Nuremberg laws this week in my commentary. What I did not know is how also inspired by the 1924 immigration restrictions the Nazi regime had become. Other countries have always looked to us, and it's up to us to live up to our responsibilities. So thank you for taking the time. I really appreciate it, and for all the good work that you do. And Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom.
And once again, I hope that you will consider supporting HIAS. It's been an organization that has been in very close contact, or we've been in very close contact with, through our incredible work, our volunteers' incredible work for refugees and asylum seekers. We heard from the director of Freedom House Detroit just a few weeks ago. It's an ongoing concern for us, and I hope those of you who are watching and not members of our community will adopt this as one of your causes as well too. HIAS.org, check it out. A reading for peace. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Nase Shalom. In this community where we find strength and common purpose, we turn our minds and hearts toward all those who need our love and support, those who are ill, those who suffer pain of the body or spirit, those who are lonely, those who have been wronged. Tonight, our well wishes are extended to these members of our community and their loved ones, to Bernice Bunny Lasker, Cece Stone, Karen Tremper Harris, Larry Fisher, Jennifer Breen, Anne-Marie Kurzniak, Greg Lowenthal, and Myron Tink. May all who suffer heal quickly. May they know they are not alone. May they experience a complete recovery, a refuah shlema, the renewal of their bodies and the renewal of their spirits. Makom hakoach. Our thoughts turn to those who are no longer with us, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every people and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. Today is an important anniversary as we recall the attacks on America on September 11th, 2001. Let us remember and honor those who died in the 9/11 attacks. Let us remain grateful for the sacrifices of those who gave their lives trying to save the lives of others. May the loved ones of all who were lost know peace and comfort, and may we, in the name of those who perished, rededicate ourselves to bringing an end to violence and terror, to racism, xenophobia, and all other forms of hatred. Thus shall their memories persevere as a living blessing in our midst. We recall now our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. Our community continues to mourn the loss of Patty Becker as we observe the yahrzeits of Charlotte Nelson, Audrey Robinson Klein, Betty Becker, Bernard Lipson, Gertrude Ernst, Donald Sugarman, Jamie Winchell, Etta Bell Fieldman, Herschel Stewart, Sidney Bowman, Sam Lieberman, Robert Voigt, and William Morris. Yehi zichram livracha, may their memories provide us with a measure of comfort as we go through this life in their absence. Well, that's our service for tonight, and that's our service for the rest of September, not counting, of course, the high holidays. We will see you in a very, very different way next week. Our service will be presented as a YouTube premiere. So while we won't be live, you will still have the opportunity to give greeting to each other in the chat box. We won't be able to put them on the screen, though, and you'll be able to see plenty of familiar faces. We're really excited about this. The following Sunday, in other words, a week from that Sunday, I'm very bad with dates, so I don't want to say the wrong one. But you know when it is. Erev Yom Kippur, we'll do the same thing at 6 o'clock. Now, those services will remain up throughout the holidays, and they are services that cover the breadth and length of the holidays. So don't feel that you have to be in your places at 6 o'clock, unless, of course, you want to join for the comments that you can make during the premieres. They'll be available throughout the holiday, and they are really designed to be accessible throughout the holiday. So I hope you'll take advantage of whenever it's convenient for you, sitting down with your families. It's a 1-hour program, each of them, and enjoying the music, the sights and sound of our congregation, our own members from their homes, and so much more. I'll be speaking on Erev Rosh Hashanah about how humanistic values can help save Judaism, and on Yom Kippur about the humanistic values in our Eifo Ori, a bit of a deconstruction, if you will, about light, hope, and strength. What do those things really mean? On Rosh Hashanah morning at 11 a.m., we will have a live Zoom study about the origins of the holidays. On Yom Kippur morning, that Monday at 11 a.m., we will have a live Zoom lecture about the book of Jonah. And on Yom Kippur afternoon, check the time, but I think it's 3 o'clock, we will have a live Zoom memorial service. We want maximum participation from everyone who can plug into that. And because we want you to have the chance to say the names of those whom you're missing, we decided to put that live on Zoom. So that's it, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. Enjoy the beautiful weather if you're in Southeast Michigan this weekend, and hug your families. And if you're near them, send them kisses, socially distanced if you're not. And we'll see you soon. Join us in this final song.
We know peace as we go on our way. May we be guided by love. May we be possessed of health and joy. May this be our future. Shalom. 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 May this be our future. Shalom. 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 May this be our future. Shalom. May we feel sheltered by the wings of peace. May we abide in safety and in love. May praise and compassion find their way to everyone. May this be our future. Shalom. Shalom.